Hello, everyone. Welcome to JDC's Israel Summer Forum. I'd like to give a special welcome to our president, Mark Szyszewski, and a warm welcome to our CEO, Ariel Zwang. We're so glad that you can join us today. And I hope, okay, there's Ariel.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble starting my video. I might have to go out and come back again. So
okay,
sorry.
That's fine. So we'll see you when you get back. Thanks for joining. My name is Annie Sandler, and I chair the JDC Board's Committee for Israel. We've not met in quite some time as our energy and focus have been channeled to assist the victims of the war in Ukraine. Today's session is all about innovation, that spark of ingenuity, that ability to look at problems from a new angle and find solutions. As we all know, the innovation is JDC's specialty. That ability to look at problems from a new angle and find solutions. We all know that innovation is important and it's ongoing and ever-present in JDC's heart and soul. Innovation is essential to the work of JDC in Israel as we are constantly faced with new social challenges, and we need to identify relevant and appropriate interventions to address these challenges. Sigal, the CEO of JDC Israel, will open our forum today and introduce the concept of innovation in JDC Israel. So Sigal, I'd like for you to take it away.
Thank you, Annie. So welcome everyone. And it's wonderful to speak of the things that are most dear to us. You know, we are here to be the innovative, creative, state-of-the-art solutions together with the government of Israel. And we are really happy to bring before you today some of the ways that it's being done, and they're really exciting. And you know that Israel is the startup nation. We have here amazing startups and companies and tech companies, and even mid-tech companies that already embraced a lot of innovation. And part of what we do, the first thing is, and you'll hear about it today, part of what we did today is actually look to them and see how to trickle down all that innovation to the social services, to vulnerable populations where innovation, especially tech innovation, is not yet fully adapted. So that's a very, very large area in which we drove in, especially in the past 2 years. Another area, and I'm very happy that we have Tomer here with us, you'll see him in a second, is use our abilities to scale up amazing solutions and help the vibrant, there's an amazing, vibrant field of really, really amazing social entrepreneurs, and you'll hear one of them today. And part of what we can do is just help them a little bit with what we have learned through our many years of experience of taking solutions and scaling them up. And the third thing is, and this I wanna thank you, because part of what we do is to fail well. We need that backing to understand that part of our job is also to fail at what we do, because we try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the nature of innovation. And with your backing, with the backing of JDC and the partners, we're actually able to do that. We try, we study, we fail, we try again, and then we succeed. And so I want to wish everyone a wonderful hour. We're going to have one, and to pass it on to Riva Ninyo, the Chief of Staff of JDC Israel, who's going to, together with Annie, MC the meeting today. So thank you all.
So thanks very much, Sigal. And as you can see, from what Sigal said, there's really no one definition of innovation. And I often think, is it creativity? Is it change? Is it a different way of thinking? And it may be all these things together. But in my mind, innovation is sometimes just a different way to solve a tough problem, taking a different angle and innovating a solution that can be impactful. And what we've tried to do today is to show innovation from several perspectives. We're going to be looking at individual innovators or entrepreneurs, some people may call them. learn about the Innovation Accelerator, or Hackaveret, here in Israel, understand how JDC involves different partners to solve certain challenges, and get a close look at some of our newest innovations or ideas that we've come across. So the first person I'd like to introduce in our journey today is Tomer Levy, who's the graduate of our Hackaveret. Tomer started an initiative called Sign Now, and he'll tell us a little bit about what Sign Now is and how he came to his idea. Tomer, over to you.
Thank you, Riva. Nice to see you, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. So like Riva said, I'm Tomer Levy, the manager of Sign Now. We are a social international startup. We are coming to solve the problem of 90 million deaf people around the world who start their lives in a lower point. They cannot communicate with the hearing environment, with service providers like a doctor, like a bank, like an hospital, anything they need. And for that, we established the Sign Now app that today connects between deaf people in Israel and around the world with more than 50,000 successful calls. And we help to the deaf to accomplish their dreams. And how everything started. So if we go back to 2015, I was a musician, probably not so good, so I went to the deaf community. But I made a video clip with a lot of famous people from Israel in sign language. And then I understood the big need. I started to talk with deaf people, and I saw that there is a huge population in Israel and around the world that start their life in a lower point. So I started to make some accessible shows in Ben Gurion University in Israel. And after that, we managed the Eurovision Song Contest in Israel at 2019 with the Broadcasting Corporation Cannes and Edmond de Rothschild Foundation. And after that, we tried to understand what is the next stage. And then finally, we got to the Hackaveret from the JDC. I got to the Hackaveret with Paula and Zohar and all the team. And they helped us more than everything with the scaling. I can say that we had, and still until today, great mentors. One of them is Boaz Ram from this board. And we got some great content also in the business, in the social, in the tech side that help us to accomplish our dream to make the life of deaf people accessible. And then we started to understand what is the need, what is the solution, what is the value proposition, and to go and to have other partners in the government and in the business side. I can say that after the third cycle, we got also a grant of 200,000 shekels that helped us to make a pilot in Israel and to develop the app. So we grow from step to step and to understand from each side what is going to be in the business, social, tech side, at the place of the deaf, the interpreters, and the service providers. I can say today we work with deaf people around the world, and it's very important for us that they wouldn't pay for the service. So we went on B2B and B2G business models, and we do it today in several places, most in Israel. And I can say maybe the biggest thing that we did at the last 2 years is to work with the GDC and to help to dozens of deaf people from Ukraine at the war 3 months ago to escape from the war, to get to the buses, to go to the borders and to come to Israel, and try to imagine how it is to be a citizen in a war, and now try to think how is it to be a deaf citizen in a war. So I'm happy that we did what we did then. And I can say that the Hackaveret and the JDC support us until today with great connections in Israel and around the world. And I have to say that this is what we did until today. But like Annie said before, like to find solutions, we do it every day. And the next thing that we are going to do is to go to Arab states. I have a flight this month to go to the UAE, Bahrain, and Qatar to manage first hospitals to be accessible for Arab deaf people, and second, to manage the World Cup 2022 to be accessible for 90 million deaf people around the world. So wish me luck, and we're going to do it. And we want, in our vision, to become the fastest social startup that we can, and to bring more than 70 million deaf people inside the Sign Now app in 2023, sorry, and we can do it. We have the scaling and the option to make this dream to happen. And that's it. I want to say thank you for everyone, and maybe to go to the next video of the.
Now, I just want to ask you something, Tomer, but how does it actually work? What happened? What is the process?
Okay, sorry, I didn't mention it. It's the most important part. So if I am a deaf consumer, a deaf person, and I want to call someone, today I cannot do it. With the Sign Now app, I can push one link or to scan one QR and to get inside this conversation in a video conversation with a sign language interpreter that's specific for him, with a specific sign language, with a specific talent to help him to do whatever he needs. And after they are inside the video call conversation, they can call any number in the world and to talk with every service provider in 2 seconds. And then at the first time that they can do whatever they want and to be independence in their lives.
We'll open for questions at the end, but at first let's see, understand you mentioned the Hackaveret many times. So let's try to understand what is this Hackaveret or the Social Innovation Hub. So Sarah, if you can just put on the movie.
גם אתם רואים את המציאות קצת אחרת. ברוכים הבאים לכוורת, המרכז ליזמות וחדשנות חברתית של ישראל. אז ישראל היא סטארט-אפ ניישן, אבל מה צריך לעשות כדי שנהיה סושיאל סטארט-אפ ניישן? איזו שאלה יפה, אה? הפתרונות הכי טובים נמצאים בשטח. אמר פעם, מי אמר? עוד לא אמרו את זה? אז אנחנו בכוורת קשובים לשטח. אנחנו ערים לכל האתגרים החברתיים הבוערים ביותר בישראל. מאתרים את הרעיונות הטובים ביותר למיזמים חברתיים שנוגעים בכאבים הכי דחופים שעולים מהשטח. ואחרי שאנחנו בוחרים את המיזמים בעלי פוטנציאל אמיתי להטמעה, אנחנו מלווים אותם כל הדרך עד להשפעה לאומית. איך אנחנו עושים את זה? אנחנו משלבים מספר דרכים להכשרת מיזמים. ליווי, פיתוח ומנטורינג של היזמים בכל הרצף היזמי. פיתוח קהילות וזירות מקצועיות, מענקים לפיתוח פיילוטים ויצירת שותפויות וחיבורים לאקוסיסטם. ולא סתם אקוסיסטם, אנחנו מצליחים להגיע לכל השחקנים הכי משמעותיים בשדה החברתי בישראל. ויחד איתם מגיעים לסקייל לאומי ואפילו בינלאומי. אתם ודאי שואלים מה זה סקייל. אז תשאלו, מה זה סקייל? אנחנו פותחים דלתות לתקשורת מול משרדי הממשלה. מנגישים את המומחים הגדולים ביותר בשדה החברתי והמקצועי, יוצרים חיבור למשקיעים עם כסף, ונותנים כלים להובלת המיזם והטמעתו בתוך השירותים החברתיים של מדינת ישראל. ואת כל זה אנחנו עושים כאן, מהכוורת בלוד, עם יזמים מכל חלקי החברה, כדי לתת פתרונות לאוכלוסיות הפגיעות ביותר בחברה הישראלית.
אולי נשמע קצת יזמים.
יזמים?
כוורת זה גוף עם מטרה נעלה, ותודה לאל שיש אותו.
תוכנית ההאצה ממש נתנה לי את הנייטרוג'ן, את התאוצה.
בדיוק של המטרות שלנו ושל האסטרטגיה שלנו.
דרך ההתקדמות ביעדים שלנו, שנראו מאוד מאוד רחוקים, ופתאום עכשיו, אחרי 5 חודשים, ממור וגידים בשטח.
הכוורת שם מדויק למה שהכוורת עושה. בנתה לנו תאים, צוות עובד, מדויק.
קבלת לכוורת, כבר זכית.
אנחנו מזמינים אתכם להפוך איתנו את המציאות וליצור אימפקט חברתי אמיתי.
So thanks, Tomer, and thank you to all the people from the Hackaveret that are on this call. And what we see is that people come with an idea, and the Hackaveret helps to scale it up. Somebody I saw in the chat asked for the funding, the financial model of the Hackaveret. We'll get back to you and give you that information. So not all the ideas come from JDC. Not all of our staff think of all the ideas, but we really do turn to the Hackaveret to bring us new ideas and solve some of the social issues that are, or challenges that we find in Israeli society. And it brings together a lot of creative minds from all over Israel, from all sectors of Israeli population as well. And it's done in partnership with the National Insurance. So it's a joint venture between us. What we see from the Hackaveret is it's not enough for an individual entrepreneur to walk alone, but sometimes we have to be able to make impact and to make changes. We have to make change in the ecosystem. And I'd like to introduce you to somebody who's had a very innovative idea, and that's Dr. Michal Halperin Ben Tzvi. She's a specialist in the area of digital literacy for older adults. As you know, many older adults in Israel have challenges with technology, as I imagine that they have all over the world. And even half of the older adults don't even have access in Israel to a computer. So JDC Eshel, if you remember from our last forum, helped to give out some handheld devices during COVID. And we do have digital literacy courses, but is this enough? And are the people that are developing services for people that are elderly in the technology world aware of all the challenges that older people are faced? So I want to hand over to Michal, who will explain to what she came up with and the idea they developed in Eshel to address this issue of technology for people with older adults.
So, hi everyone. Reach the end. Hi everyone. My name is Dr. Michal Halperin Benzvi, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you, Sigal, and thank you, Riva, for this great opportunity. I'm an expert in digital interfaces for older adults and PhD in psychology of aging, but most of all, I'm very proud to say that I am a part of JDC Eshel Digital Literacy large-scale initiative, and I'm going to introduce you the guide that we wrote for digital, how to create age-friendly digital platform and product. I want to start by asking you a question. Did you check your mail in the last 3 hours? Or maybe I should have said, is there anyone here in the crowd who didn't check his mail in the last 3 hours? It's hard to imagine our life without mails, right? We won't be able to go to any government health services, not to mention to download any kind of app. We won't be able to be here on Zoom if we didn't have any email address, right? However, in Israel, 46% of all the adults don't use their mail at all. They don't have any email address. And it's not just that it's damaged their mental and physical health because they can't get into different services. It's damaged their ability to be part of our society. When we in JDC Eshel try to teach them through digital literacy courses, it took us 10 hours to teach them. And even though it was a fascinating process and we learned a lot on how all the adults perceive and learn digital tools, we started asking ourselves, how many hours would it take us to teach Google and Gmail people to create better product? Could it be that if we would have teach Google and Gmail people to create more age-friendly product, it would be easier for all the adults to actually use them? So as Riva mentioned, we started looking not just at digital literacy training, but also on accessible devices. But, and this is what I'm going to elaborate today, on how those platforms and services and products should look like for all the adults to use. So we started looking on how all the adults behave online. And we know that as we age, we're all going to experience cognitive changes in our memory, in our executive function, changes in our perceptions. And older users behave different than younger ones. They they make more random mistakes. They press on buttons they didn't intend to do, but they also distract more easily. They make more mistakes. They perform worse on assignments that require memory. They use different search strategies. They just behave different. And all of those behaviors just lead to the fact that older adults tend to abandon much more quickly and much more often than younger ones. They give up. And actually, they're twice more likely to abandon any kind of digital product, and they do it 30 seconds before. So what we did is that we sat together with a group of experts from the industry and the academic to find out what would be the best practice of how digital platforms and services should look like. I want to introduce you with really just the 2 examples from the guide that we wrote. One of them is on error messages. Now, error messages are exactly the situation when the users find himself in a situation he didn't intend to be. While a younger user is more likely to blame the system, saying, oh, what an annoying app, or what an annoying website, something went wrong in this app. An older user is more likely to blame himself. And this is why when he encounters error messages like you see now on your right, most of us have no idea what 404 means, not to mention older adults who might feel less confident. He's more likely to abandon them. Well, if he encounter error messages that look like the one on the left, saying, we lost this page. It's not you, it's we who lost this page, and it tells us exactly what to do, he's less likely to abandon the platform. Another issue is the registration. None of us like to registrate or sign in process, okay? This is not an easy thing, especially if you're older adults and you're asked to get a password and it's maybe harder for you to click on your email address. This is why I dedicated a whole chapter for registration and sign-in process. Now, when you see registration forms that look like the one on the right, it's not just that it's visual overload and it's very challenging, but it's also going to help for you to focus on the things that are necessary, like your name and your email. Well, on the other one, the one that you see on the left is much more easier for all of us. Now, it's important to know that both of them are compliant with accessibility standard. Both of them are legal, but we know that when we are talking about usability, it's easy to see that the one on the left is more easier to use. So what we did, we published this guide in Hebrew, and it was a big success. It's already part of few institutes here in the academia in Israel as part of the syllabus for UX and design schools, but it's also being implicated in the government. We are now started working with healthcare provider like Clalit here in Israel to make sure that the product will be age-friendly as well. And we are working with municipal here in Israel as a pilot to find out how they can get a more age-friendly services. And I'm very proud to say that together with Israel Unlimited, we're also working with Moveit, which is the most common transportation app in Israel, to find solutions to get it more accessible for people with cognitive impairment and older adults as well. And I want to end with a request. We need your help. We are about to publish this guide in English. And I would like to ask your help to help us to spread the word. If you're thinking of anyone who can benefit from this guide, either getting the guide or getting a lecture about this guide, any one of the leading in the industry who develop the common digital platforms that we all use, please let either me or Riva know, and we would highly appreciate it. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and enjoy the rest of the evening or morning.
I say that's really amazing. I'm inspired by what Eshel has done and the way that they thought in an innovative way to solve a problem that touches so many millions of elderly people around the world. And really, if you have an idea of how we can spread login to more users, we'd really appreciate your help with this initiative. We're moving now to something completely different. And this is a program that was introduced by Israel Unlimited, our unit for people with disabilities. They wanted to try and see how we can assist people with disabilities to become part of the market and have equal opportunities in products that they consume that will be easier for them to consume. And they thought of something completely different. I think a very interesting idea. So let's have a look what they did, and then we can discuss it afterwards.
עכשיו כשאני רואה את הסרטון זה נותן לי בוקס בבטן בדיוק כמו בפעם הראשונה שראיתי אותו. החטיפים שלנו בדרך כלל זה רגע קטן כזה של אושר, של איזה חיוך, ופתאום לראות תסכול וקושי מאוד גדול במשהו שהוא נראה לרובנו טריוויאלי לעשות, גרם לי מפח נפש מאוד מאוד גדול. היה לנו ברור שזו המשימה שעומדת בפנינו, להנגיש את אריזות החטיפים שלנו לאנשים עם מוגבלות. הכל התחיל לפני שנה בערך, קיבלתי שיחת טלפון מבחורה בשם ורד, משווה פיתוח. היא מספרת לי על המיזם שווה פיתוח, שהוא שותפות של הג'וינט וציונות 2000.
שווה פיתוח קם על מנת למקסם חיים עצמאיים של אנשים עם מוגבלות במרחב הצרכני. הרעיון המרכזי הוא להזמין חברות עסקיות, לפתח או להתאים מוצר או שירות מתוך הליבה העסקית שלהם, עבור קהל צרכנים שהם אנשים עם מוגבלות.
אחד הנתונים שאנשים לא מכירים, והצגנו את זה לשטראוס, זה ש17% מהאוכלוסייה הם אנשים עם מוגבלות. אנחנו מדברים על 1.5 מיליון אנשים ו250,000 משפחות לילדים עם מוגבלות. זה קהל עצום.
במהלך במהלך שווה פיתוח, שעשינו קבוצת מיקוד, ואחד המשתתפים אמר לנו שהוא פשוט לא מצליח לפתוח לבד. שקית של טפו צ'יפס. הרמנו טלפון לשטראוס, ומשם הכל ממש טס.
תחושת הבטן הייתה, הולכים על זה. מפתחים אריזה נגישה יותר. תהליך פיתוח מוצר הוא תהליך מורכב, שמעלה המון שאלות. אז החלטנו לענות לכל הסימני שאלה עם סימן קריאה, מתוך הבנה שגם תוך כדי תנועה אנחנו נעמיק ונלמד את הקהל הזה ואת הצרכים שלו עם הזמן. בסוף ההבנה שלנו הייתה שזה ווין ווין. ווין עסקי מצד אחד, לתת מענה לקהל שהוא גדול ולכן מעניין מבחינה עסקית, וווין ערכי. לנסות להשפיע ולעשות שינוי במשהו קטן ביום יום, משהו שהוא טריוויאלי לכל כך הרבה אנשים, ולהפוך אותו לטבעי וקל יותר, בשביל מי שעד עכשיו לא חווה את זה ככה, זו משימה שאנחנו גאים להוביל.
בשבילי הים זאת האהבה הכי גדולה. כשאני על הגלשן אני שוכח את כל המגבלות שלי. לא תמיד זה קל, אבל לוותר זאת לא אופציה בשבילי. האמת, לפעמים דווקא הדברים הקטנים הם הכי קשים. פעם לא יכולתי לפתוח את זה לבד. דברים משתנים.
לפני שנה יצאנו בשטראוס בשיתוף ממיזם שווה פיתוח ובשיתוף אנשים עם מוגבלות למסע להנגשת אריזות החטיפים שלנו. והיום יותר אנשים יכולים ליהנות מאריזות נוחות וקלות יותר לפתיחה.
לא מוותר.
So just to explain to you a little bit about what you saw, the first was a process that Strauss, a huge company in Israel, that actually donated a lot of food to Ukraine and produces hummus, and I'm sure you see a lot of it in the stores in the United States. They decided to do this process, and when we had a meeting with the CEO, which is Ofra Strauss, she told us what a huge impact this idea of making packages accessible to people with disabilities had on the workers in the actual company. The second short movie of The Surfer was what Strauss decided to show on national television. And for a few weeks, that short movie was on the TV before the 8 o'clock news. So think of what a small idea that was really innovative on the part of our staff and how it managed to allow people with disabilities to be more independent, but also to change public opinion about people with disabilities and their need to be independent. And this example is just one of many that we worked with several companies. 18 leading companies have already joined this initiative, from insurance companies, tourism companies, and even leisure companies. And these companies recognize that it's good for business to meet the needs of people with disabilities, thanks to JDC's innovative ideas and outlook. So we heard from individual innovators. We heard about the Hackaveret that helps develop and accelerate innovative ideas. We heard from Michal, who tried to impact the infrastructure or the ecosystem more accurately. And we just saw how a company uses inclusion to drive their own business. Our final segment of the little session that we've got this afternoon on innovation is going to innovate something in the STEM education system, which is education for science, technology, engineering, and math. A strong grasp of STEM subjects is crucial for a child's success in school, and we all know that people have to excel in these areas today to be able to enter some of those areas at the university. But as you might remember from your old school days, and it was for me some many years ago, some of the material is really tough to process. For me, mathematics was always a challenge. And sometimes it doesn't work in the typical school classroom. So we had to think of ideas, how we can get STEM for all, get all children of all levels to be able to benefit from the STEM education that is happening in the schools. And no matter if you live in the periphery or in the center of the country, you should be able to benefit from the same STEM education. So let's see what happened in Dimona and how we innovated with a STEM idea.
מדעים בדרך כלל היה מקצוע כזה שלא הכי התחברתי אליו, אבל אחרי שהבנתי שבמדעים יש כל כך הרבה דברים חשובים, התחלתי לאהוב את המקצוע הזה מאוד.
תוכנית הסטם היא תוכנית רב-תחומית שמשלבת את מקצועות המדעים, טכנולוגיה, הנדסה ומתמטיקה. התהליך שהתלמיד עובר מתחיל באיזשהו רעיון, איזשהו נושא, ומשם הוא מתגלגל לחקר עצמו. קודם כל אנחנו מתחילים בחקר כללי, חקר מדעי, ואז התלמיד מתחיל ליישם בעצם את הרעיון שלו. מתוך היישום של הרעיון צצים הבעיות, ושם תמיד אנחנו חוזרים לתהליך התיכון של חקר פתרון בעיות. בעצם גדנו את כל התוכנית של הסטם תחת מטריה אחת, שאנחנו מדברים על יעדי הפיתוח של האו"ם, כל יעדי הקיימות. בחרנו מיגור העוני ואפס רעב.
והם חוקרים את העניין ומוצאים פתרונות לאיזושהי בעיה שמדינה ספציפית מעלה, והכל תוך חיבור לגן. בין הגן לבין הדיפלומטיה, לבין השפה, לבין המתמטיקה, באומנות. הסטם הוא נמצא באוויר כל הזמן.
הפרויקט שלנו עוסק בגידול הספירולינה. הספירולינה היא בעצם מזון על, זה אומר שיש בה הרבה מאוד ויטמינים ומינרלים חשובים.
האפשרות שבחרנו בעצם בספירולינה זה כדי לעזור לעולם, לארצות עוני, ולמגר את הרעב.
למדנו ביחד, התלמידים וגם המורים, מה זה בכלל ספירולינה ואיך לגדל אותה.
כפית אחת של עצה ביום, של הספירולינה, יכולה לספק לאדם את כל הוויטמינים והמינרלים שהוא צריך. זה לא רק עוזר למגר את הרעב, זה גם עוזר בריאותית.
הקמנו קיר מדהים ביחד עם האב בית שלנו, והיינו מאושרים, ואחרי שבועיים לאט לאט אנחנו מרגישים שיש דעיכה בצבע.
הייתה בעיה שהספירולינה התחילה למות.
חקרנו מההתחלה, מה ספירולינה צריכה? אוויר, טמפרטורה, מים, בודדנו משתנה.
בגלל שבדימונה יש לנו אקלים מדברי, יש הבדלי טמפרטורה משמעותיים בין היום ללילה.
ואז הילדים מתחילים ליצור, ממש ליזום פתרונות של מה עושים בשביל שהיא לא תתקרר בלילה.
אנחנו ממש חקרנו ולמדנו ומצאנו פתרונות. זה לקח זמן, אבל בסוף הצלחנו.
כל דבר כזה זורק אותם ללמידה שהיא למידת עומק מטורפת. הם לומדים שגם למישהו אחר יכול להיות רעיון, שיכול לתרום לי, או שאני יכול לקחת אותו, אני יכול לאמץ אותו ולהרחיב אותו.
אני הרגשתי ממש טוב, הייתי גאה בזה, כי אנחנו עבדנו ממש הרבה זמן, מתחילת שנה ועד עכשיו, ואני פתאום מסתכלת על הקיר ואומרת, וואו, זה פתאום הצלחנו לעשות את זה, חקרנו, למדנו.
יש ילדים שפרחו מבחינת הדימוי העצמי שלהם והיכולות שלהם במסגרת מה שקורה כאן. זאת אומרת, גם בתחומים אחרים.
ילד יכול ללמוד מתהליך כזה, קודם כל, איך אני מתמודד עם חוסר הצלחה, איך אני מביא את כל הידע שצברתי, ואני מרים את עצמי מהכישלון ומוצא פתרון. הוא יכול לעשות הכל. אנחנו רואים את הרעיונות שלו ואנחנו לא אומרים, לא, זה בלתי אפשרי. זה אפשרי, בוא נמצא דרך.
לראות את התהליך הזה, את היזמות הזו, וכשהילד עכשיו עומד ומייצג ועומד מול אנשים, או שהוא מגיע לפתרונות, או שהוא חושב בקבוצה, שהם חושבים בצורה יצירתית באמת. כל המיומנויות האלה הן באות לידי ביטוי בהכל. אני חושבת שזה הופך את הבית ספר ליותר טוב, את הילדים ליותר טובים. אלה ההצלחות הגדולות שלנו. שהתלמידים שלנו ישתלבו בעתיד בכל מקום שהם יחשבו שהם ראויים להיות בו. בדומה לכל עיר אחרת. לירושלמים, לתל אביבים, לחיפאים, שדימונה לא תהיה איזושהי מגבלה.
So as you see, this program bundles together both innovation, new ideas, and maybe had it been in my school, I would have been a better math student and maybe chosen a different profession. But these children are really given an innovative way to be able to connect to some of the more difficult subjects in the school or subjects that children struggle with. And STEM for All is making STEM education very exciting. And it was tried in some of the outlying peripheral areas to be able to give the children, as they said in the movie, a fair chance. So this is really many ways that we've used innovation also in the education system. Annie?
All I can say is, wow. First of all, we've never finished early, but there's so much to talk about because these presentations were incredible. So thank you, Sigal, for opening. Riva, your brilliant leadership through this program was just terrific in your enthusiasm. So thank you. I loved seeing how the kids are learning to be innovators themselves and channeling that inventiveness toward helping others. Thanks so much to the JDC team. We know you work overtime with everything you do to make JDC look good and to take it globally. So thank you so much. I learned a lot about how JDC is dreaming up new ways to make life better for Israeli society, and I hope everyone on the call did too. So thank you for joining us. Now I'd like to open it up for questions and answers. So could we do that?
Sure.
Okay. Do people want to put them in the chat, or do you want to raise your hand? And we have all the specialists on screen, so now's a perfect time. Let me just see if there are any questions in the chat. And Riva, if you see people with their hand up, just call on them, okay?
Ariel's Wang.
That's a good.
I see your hand up.
It's true. I do have a question. Strauss, I know, is in Israel, so I can imagine that the packaging is, of course, you know, countrywide and that they think of it that way. But the PepsiCo, I'm just curious, does the packaging there influence decisions that they make about packaging elsewhere in the world?
So one of the things that Ofer Strauss mentioned to us when we had a conversation with her was that they actually, Israel has become the light for the rest of the PepsiCo group because they're part of the PepsiCo group. And what they're going to do is what they've done here, they are going to implement now in PepsiCo all over the world. So this is really from Zion comes the light. I don't know how you said it.
Talk about scaling.
Yeah. So that's really impact and scaling, and you know, if for the people that are going to come on the mission, you're going to see how an Israel from the tourism industry has also taken this to an amazing scale and used this idea that it's good for business to do services for people with disabilities.
Wow. Max, do you have a question?
You know what? I don't know, Max, but I'm sure I leave it to Strauss. If they've got a patent, they would write.
I was just wondering along the same lines with the packaging, if they have patent protection and could there be a revenue opportunity?
You know, it's a question we ask ourselves with other issues as well. For instance, when we now started working with high-tech companies and some of the information that we're sharing with high-tech companies, should we be able to be gaining a revenue? And I actually see that Howard Stanton from the Wall Foundation is on the call right now, and Howard has offered to help us to think through some of these issues, because now that we're making more and more partnerships with the business community, do we have something that we as JDC could earn from being in partnership with the government, with the business community? And Sigal, if you want to add something, please do. Tomer is on the line, Dr. Ariel Levy's on the line from Ashalim, so please feel free to ask them questions as well.
You know, the fact that these can scale up on a global basis, Tomer, your project is unbelievable. I mean, really unbelievable. So, you know, anybody on the call who has more questions and ideas of assistance, please find out how to contact some of these innovators.
Claire's got an answer, a question.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to know from Tomer, I put it in the chat, whether his product can work for lip readers and not necessarily for signers, and how we could get information on that.
First, in sign language, thank you for the question. We want to open the app for other populations. We found out that the one button that going through a video call conversation with human being, it's great for a lot of populations, also for lip readers. And we are going to start a big pilot with the government in Israel this year about it. And we hope that after the pilot, we're going to understand all the needs and then to go further overseas with the one button, human being conversation. But we're not there yet. honestly.
Thank you. Well, keep us updated.
Yes. Thank you.
Other questions?
Sarah, do you see questions in the chat?
I can't see questions in the chat. Wait just 1 second. Can you?
I just asked Sarah, she sees them as the host, if she can.
I see that Nina asked if schools have access to the STEM for All program and has it broadly available. And I see that Atara did answer, but maybe Atara, you want to unmute and answer the question for everybody.
Ariel Levy's on the call also, Michal Ettinger. I want to just shout out to them. The program's being piloted in 7 cities and close to 40 schools. And as part of the program development, we produce materials and a program model, which will be available widely to everybody afterwards.
Another thing that's happening is that because of a new program in school, in the Ministry of Education, that's actually transferring autonomy to schools, from next year, schools can choose different programs while even piloting. So we hope to put it in as availability for all of the country. That's one thing. The second thing, that STEM program was adopted already as a national curriculum, which is one of the successes of the program. Therefore, part of their obligation is to provide the facilities in 1 or 2 years when we finish the piloting to all of the schools in Israel if they will choose for.
Wow.
I see there's some other questions in the chat that may be not of relevance to everybody. So we'll collect all the questions in the chat and we'll connect the relevant people with the questions that were answered about funding, about connections, funding of the Hackaveret and other options.
And Nancy Hackerman mentioned something about what she does in Baltimore with public libraries. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Nancy, you on the call?
I am. We have a phenomenal director. I'm on the board, and we have a terrific system where we use our libraries because they're in every community. I don't know how the libraries in Israel work, but in every community, and people feel very comfortable going to the libraries. It's their safe space after school for kids or elderly people or anyone, handicapped people. And we use the library for dispensing social services, for free Wi-Fi and internet, we have a lawyer in the library to help people out. We have a social worker in the library to help people out. And that's where they go, and the kids go for projects, and it's more than a library. I mean, it's today's library, and it works beautifully.
And your senior citizens use that as a resource?
Oh, sure. We have free internet classes. We have free classes for anyone. We have, you can take out an iPad. You can, rent it, not rent it, but just borrow it like a book. You can hang around the library for free internet access. It really, really works well.
Okay, knowing all that, what do you think about Michal's book for how senior citizens are able to use a computer and not get completely freaked out? So is that because you have people on site?
Right.
What do you think about a user brochure that Michal's developing in
Well,
English?
I'd like to see it because I think there's some synergy there. I hate to use that word, so overworked, but between what we do and what you do and how we can make both better.
There you go, Michal. Thank you, Nancy.
Sure thing.
Other questions? Come on. Okay. The program was too good, Riva. What can I tell you?
First of all, we're here. If you have any questions afterwards, we'd be more than happy to respond to any additional questions. For those of you coming to Israel, we look forward to seeing you. For the rest of you, we'll see you in our next forum.
And I would like to thank Howard Stanton for being on the call. He has a question. Howard? Oh, Howard.
Hello.
Hi, Howard.
I've sent it in by way of chat. I've asked a number of questions. The first 2
I didn't put my name to, but it's a very interesting program, but I would have appreciated much more background of how long the Hackaveret has been in operation, what's its finances, how you prioritize some programs over others, what due diligence do you do, what is the accountability of the people running the programs, how many people are paid, where the money is raised from, and the whole business model.
Okay,
Yeah.
Howard, we can send that to you, and maybe when you come next time, we can spend some time on that issue together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great questions. Thank you, Howard. It's like everything that people want to know about Hackaveret, so thank you.
You know what we can do is after this call, everybody who was on the call, I can send out a 1 or 2 page about the Hackaveret, and then you can all learn a little more about it.
That would be great. And the films, the videos that you showed in
Sure.
this
So
presentation, we can access those?
Yes, we'll send this out as an edited version, so we can send it out. You can share the movies with other people, and we'll send the 1 page about the Hackaveret, so you can always get the information.
Thank you. I guess before we sign off, I do want to say to this entire group, if there are things that you would like to see covered during the Israel forums, JDC Israel is always open to suggestions, to fill you in on anything you may want to know, because you're the investors. So you're the people that they want to understand their programs the best. So let's just see. Anybody else have questions in the chat? No. Okay. I hate to sign off early, but that's it. Thank you so much. Thanks for
Thanks all.
Thanks for joining us.